Good afternoon, everyone. It's Monday, another week. I hope everyone is well and staying safe as always. We are happy and rejoicing on this day. This is always the day that the Lord has made, and we are rejoicing and being glad in it. I had a wonderful weekend, and I hope you all did too. Had a wonderful Sunday service, and now back on the grind of work and all those other great things. So with that, we're back on track with our story time with Reverend Reese. And today I have a wonderful old classic treat for us. Today I will be reading The Little Red Riding Hood. The Little Red Riding Hood. So let's see what this is about. Many of you might know the story, but let's see. The Little Red Riding Hood. All right. Once upon a time, in a small village beside a forest, there lived a little girl and her mother. The little girl was always seen wearing a red hooded cloak and came to be known as Little Red Riding Hood. The cloak was a gift from her beloved grandmother, who lived in a cozy cottage in the woods. It goes Little Red Riding Hood and her grandmother. I think we should name her Stacy. Yeah, she looked like a Stacy. One day, Little Red Riding Hood's mother asked her to do a very special task. Grandmother had recently fallen ill, and it was up to Little Red Riding Hood to bring her a basket of food her mother had prepared. Whatever you do, don't stray from the path, warned her mother. And no matter what happens, don't talk to strangers along the way. That's still advice that we give people today. Don't talk to strangers and don't veer from the path. So Little Red Riding Hood took the basket and merrily skipped off through the woods. It was a beautiful day, and she wasn't worried one bit. Doesn't she look happy? Go ahead, Stacey. Just singing and skipping and laughing. All of a sudden, a wolf spotted Little Red Riding Hood. He thought she looked quite tasty, but didn't dare pounce on her as there were wood critters nearby. Mm. You see the wolf? Yeah, he looks at her like she's a big old treat. Mm-mm-mm. Just ready to eat his prey. Mm-mm-mm. Where are you off to in such a hurry, little girl? Said the praying wolf. Little Red Riding Hood peered at the wolf. He seemed harmless enough, she thought. I'm bringing this basket of food to my sick grandmother. She lives all alone in a cozy cottage in the woods, she replied. The wolf seized his opportunity. I know just the cottage, he replied. I also know a shortcut that you can take. Just follow the path over there. So there goes the wolf. Already got his scheme in order. And he tells Little Red Riding Hood to follow the path that he knows or thinks, he says, is a shortcut to her grandmother's house. Mm. Little Red Riding Hood thought that was certainly a helpful tip. How kind of you, Mr. Wolf, said Little Red Riding Hood. Thanks for your help. Off she skipped down the other path. See the water coming from his mouth? Mm, mm, mm. As Little Red Riding Hood continued along her way, some beautiful wildflowers caught her eye. I have plenty of time, she thought, as she stopped to pick a few. A sweet smelling thing to cheer up her grandmother. There goes Little Red Riding Hood, picking out some flowers for her grandmother. Those are pretty flowers. Flowers always make people feel better. Meanwhile, the wolf ran through the forest straight to grandmother's cozy cottage. He knew it would be some time before Little Red Riding Hood would arrive. There goes the wolf off to the cottage. When the wolf arrived at the cottage, he knocked 3 times on the door and said in the sweetest voice he could muster, "It's me, Grandma. I've brought you a basket of food. Can you please let me in?" "Just lift the latch and let yourself in," replied Grandmother, too weak to get up. Oh boy. Mm, mm, mm. The tricks of the wolf. The wolf entered the cottage to a very startled grandmother. He sprung into Grandma's bed and swallowed her up whole. Oh no! The wolf ate Grandma. Mean wolf. Next, the wolf put on Grandma's pajamas to disguise himself. Then he climbed into Grandma's bed and pulled the blanket up to his chin to wait for Little Red Riding Hood. Ooh, he's being deceitful. This story getting scary. Mm, mm, mm. Little Red Riding Hood finally arrived at her grandmother's cottage, and she was surprised to see that the front door was wide open. That's not like Grandma, she thought, but she entered the cottage all the same. "Hi, Grandma," said Little Red Riding Hood. "I hope you're feeling better. I brought you a basket of food from Mother, and I picked you some flowers on the way here." Does she look happy to see her grandmother? "Just put everything on the table, sweetheart, and come closer where I can see you," said the wolf in the best grandma's voice. Little Red Riding Hood noticed that her grandmother seemed a little strange, but decided that it was just her cold. Mm-mm. Don't do it, Little Red Riding Hood. Little Red Riding Hood approached her bed cautiously. "Oh, Grandma, what big ears you have," she said. "All the better to hear you with, my dear," replied the wolf. Mm. Little Red Riding Hood crept closer to a better look. "Oh, Grandma, what big eyes you have." "All the better to see you with, my dear, croaked the wolf. Mm. Little Red Riding Hood started to figure some things out. Oh, Grandma, Little Red Riding Hood said. What big teeth you have, gasped the little girl. Oh, the better to eat you with, growled the wolf. In an instant, the wolf sprung into Little Red Riding Hood and swallowed her up whole. Feeling extremely full after two very satisfying meals, the wolf fell sound asleep. He ate both Grandma and the Little Red Riding Hood. Oh no! A woodcutter passing by the cottage heard very loud snoring coming from Grandma's window. That's funny, he thought. He decided to check to see if everything was all right. He opened the cottage door and was shocked. Lying in Grandma's bed, dressed in her clothes, was a snoring wolf with a great big belly. The woodcutter recognized the wolf at once. It was the very same wolf who had been stealing all the little lambs in the village. Every time he was caught, the clever wolf would find a way to escape. The woodcutter knew he had to act quickly in order to save Grandma and be rid of this beast for good. Mm. The woodcutter decided not to wake the wolf. He carefully cut open the wolf's belly and, quite surprised by what he found, out jumped not only Grandma but Little Red Riding Hood too. They came out of his belly. Little Red Riding Hood and her grandmother were so happy to be saved. They hugged each other tightly and thanked the woodcutter for his bravery. They invited him to share the basket of food. It certainly, I'll certainly think twice about talking to strangers from now on, Little Red Riding Hood thought to herself. They all lived happily ever after, and the wolf never bothered anyone again. The end. Well, my goodness, reading these old time stories really makes you think about some stuff. One thing I will say about Little Red Riding Hood is that it does remind me of another story in the Bible in which a person was deceived or a woman was deceived, and we know that as to be the story of Eve and the serpent, in which she was told to follow one direction by God, like Little Red Riding Hood was told to go a certain way by her mother, but through the path, she got deceived and went a different way. And because of that, destruction happens. And as interesting as it sounds, this story makes me really look at the ways in which we have to learn how to be obedient and listen and obey to the person that we know has our best interest in heart, which is definitely God. Hearing his voice and understanding his will for our lives will allow us to walk in the right way and not get caught up by deceitful wolves that try to kill, steal, and destroy. Interesting story, though. Well, that is our story time for today. Let us always remember to follow the right path and not be distracted. Let us also remember that it is when we are on the right path that we are able to follow God in the way in which He called us. And I'm still kind of caught up with how the wolf cutter just cut open the wolf's belly and they jumped out the belly. I mean, yeah. But anyway, they lived happily ever after, and we will live happily ever after too if we follow God. So that is our story time for today. We'll definitely be here tomorrow, hopefully, God willing, to give you another story. But as always, just know that I love you. Jesus loves you, and so do I. And follow the right path, the one that leads to righteousness, not to destruction and death. This is our time for today. Have a blessed one. Bye.